Hi, third grade. We're going to be working on our collages today. We're going to be using tissue paper. So you're going to have a long white piece here that's going to be your background piece. Then we have all the colored tissue paper that you're going to get. So like this. We have fadeless that won't bleed, won't run if it gets wet. And then we have some pieces that you might have to get from the other kind. So this black one will run if it gets too wet. So you're going to be real careful with this kind of stuff. We tried to get as much as we could in the non-fadeless, but it is what it is. So you have a food that you're going to be representing, or a meal, and from a culture. I'm doing Germany. So I'm going to cut out some sauerkraut. And sauerkraut is a cabbage that has been pickled, I guess. I've never made it from scratch. I don't know. I always buy the bag. And it's this weird green color. It's not quite this bright, but it is pretty green. We're going to be focusing on both positive and negative shapes. So a positive shape is a shape that you cut out of a piece of paper and glue down like normal. So this would be my positive shape. But when I take this piece, I can glue this piece down. This inside here is a negative space. So I'm going to be using both. So I'm going to need to cut out all of my sauerkraut. And then I need to get some sausage or wurst. And in order to do this really a lot faster, if I fold my paper in half and cut out my sausage now, I'm going to get 2 sausages after only cutting 1 time. So it's really an art smart kind of a move to do. So here's going to be 2 sausages. Ta-da! All right. And if 2 is good, then folding it more than twice is even better. So if I take this piece and I'm going to fold it in half, I actually don't even need that much, so I'm going to cut it. Somebody else can use that piece. There. So I'll fold this in half, and then I can fold it in half again. So now I'm in quarters. And you can draw on top of the tissue paper. And I want a cherry, so I'm going to sketch on a cherry. And the reason I'm drawing it is because cherries, at least in my work, I'm going to want to have a stem. And I'm afraid that I'll just forget as I'm talking in this video and cut off the stem. So very carefully I'm cutting around. And when I'm done, if I've done it right, I'll have 4 cherries. So let's see, how did I do? 1, 2, 3, that means this is, and 4. 4 cherries, there we go. So now I get to put it all together. So, gluing. First thing I'm going to do is, you're not using regular glue. You're going to use a cup of some watery glue and a paintbrush. And I'm going to dip my brush in here, and I want to put some glue down on my paper, and then I'll be putting my tissue paper right on top of that glue. I want to smooth it down with my finger. Maybe do a thin amount of glue on top so it stays. Alright, now before you get to the gluing part, you're going to want to lay out your picture. So I lay it out in 3s. So I would take, if I'm doing 3, I'm going to put my negative space down on there. So let's see, I like that. And I'll put one of these down too. And how about one of my sausages here? Okay, 3, 1, 2, 3. I like that, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. Alright, so now I have my 3 glued down. Now I can go with my next 3. So I'm going to do another negative space over here. Maybe I'm going to add another sauerkraut, another sausage. Oh, the cherries, I didn't tell you. The cherries are from a German chocolate cherry cake. And they have cherries on top of them. So that's why I have the cherries on here. The sausage is also known as a wurst, but it's basically, we call it a sausage. So I'm just gluing these down. Tissue paper can be a little challenging to work with, so you don't want to move super fast. You want to make sure you get everything down on there and add that layer of glue. So you can see that the red is doing great, and maybe you can see that the brown is the other kind of tissue paper, and so the color is coming off of there. So be careful with what you're using. We don't have brown in the other, the non-bleeding, the color leaching one. So we have to use it. All right, so now I would continue to build my picture. All right, so I have the majority of my picture done right now. I do want to add a few more things. I do want you to use a limited color palette. Right now I have 3 colors going on right now, and I want to add a 4th one. On that cake, they have chocolate shavings on top. I don't have a different color brown, so I'm going to use a black. Sometimes you got to work with what you have. You don't have these other choices. So I'm cutting my little pieces. I'm going to lay them on here, and then I'll paint over them with the glue, and then my project will be done. So again, you're going to be layering your papers. You're going to be using positive and negative spaces, shapes, and you're going to be representing a food from a different culture or a meal. So I have a whole meal going on here. We're going to be using tissue paper and liquid glue with brushes. And I am done. Have fun. If you have any questions, just let us know.